Okay, welcome to the Art Book Study Group. My name is Advanced. My name is, what did I name myself? Experienced Beginner Vaughn. And this is my first video in a series of how to study art books. A little bit about me, and then we'll get into the notes and the book that we're covering in this series. I started drawing in 2017, 2018, and I never really took it seriously. Um, I got to a level of a certain level and I plateaued. Um, and ever since then, I've just been dabbling. And I decided that, 2026, I want to go back and I want to do all the stuff that I didn't want to do in the beginning. Because in the beginning, I just wanted to, do all the cool stuff, do the animations, do all the Frank Frazetta character designs and all this stuff. But I didn't want to do fundamentals, right? And this is one of the books my mentor Jeremy recommended to me very early on, and I bought it in 2018, and it's been on my shelf ever since. Um, I recently found this very cool software called LiquidText, and LiquidText is cool because you can study any type of PDF in it. You can draw, you can take notes, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. I'm just exploring. I don't even know all of the tools that you can use in this in this software, but um, this is day one of me using the software. Day one of me studying the first, chapter of Andrew Loomis, and boy, did I learn a lot. And The first thing I want to say is that Andrew Loomis is an open source, is in public domain. So if you guys want to follow along, if you guys want to get good with me, we can get good together. Um, you know, you can pick up a PDF of this book. It's in public domain. There's nothing illegal about that. Um, um, Andrew Loomis is probably the most famous art book ever. Thousands upon thousands and millions of professional artists swear by it. Working artists, from Eric Giss to all the great to artists working at Blizzard, Disney, you know, Proco. Everybody swears about Andrew Loomis, right? And I never wanted to give it a chance because it looked like because of this. It looked like an old style. I was too immature to know that, you know, he's teaching the fundamentals and not just his style. And this 1950 style wasn't interesting to me. I wanted to draw, Naruto, Shino, things like that. Well, this first chapter one was a wake up call to me. And I'm going to go through the notes. So first, let me explain how I study now, right? And I never used to study like this. I used to just skim through books and expect to, get good, right? And it never worked out. So now I'm studying like I'm in, university. Uh, and day one, it's paid dividends, right? Already. And I haven't even got to drawing yet. Uh, so the first thing I do is I read very carefully. I highlight what I think is important, and I comment on also what I think is important. As you can see here, like uh, like this highlight says, I assume that you desire to express yourself with a pen and pencil is not only urgent, but almost undeniable, and you feel you must do something about it. Talent must be in company with the capacity of unlimited effort, which provides the power that eventually hurdles the difficulties that will frustrate the lukewarm enthusiasts. And that's where I was. That's where I was in 2018, 2017, when I signed up for Watts and I met Jeremy, my mentor. Was that I just wanted to do the cool stuff. I didn't want to do Andrew Loomis. I didn't want to do anatomy. I just wanted to, I thought there was a shortcut. And when things got hard, I would just give up and move on to something else. And I did that for years. So that hit home. As we go down the further chapter, Loomis talks about the difficulties has always been finding and sorting out what is practical value and putting it into practice. Uh, that's another thing he stresses is, he's going to lay out the techniques of everything you need to be successful in this book, but it's up to you to put it in practice. Uh, Reading any book is not enough. This is a comment I wrote. Reading any book is not enough. Uh, Ideas have to be applied over and over again. As you go on, like all these notes that I've made, I'm not gonna sit here and read them all. We'll read the actual notes on the workspace side, and I'll break down how I study. Right? If I had studied like this, if I had note taken like this in school, I'd probably be an engineer or doctor or something. Um, But as you can see, I read all these pages as thorough as possible, highlighting and underlining everything I thought was important. Um, and that's the end. This is just page 1 through 17 is all I'm going to cover in this video. I think I went all the way to page 26. And after page 26, you start drawing proportions. So I'm very excited about that. But for now, let's focus on this. So that's how I get the information. I get the information, and then I go over here to the workspace, and I redefine my notes. Right? I redefine my notes into what's called mind mapping. Right? A very simple 3-stage mind mapping. The first stage is the headline, and that's in yellow. The second stage is the is in pink, and that is the key concept or the key idea. And underneath that, the final stage is uh, a final thought or added information, etc. So let's read some of this. So one of the first ones I have on here: practice over passive reading. That we went over that. The key concept is uh, knowledge only becomes skilled through repetition and only becomes through repetition. Um, Andrew Loomis stresses you must study, draw, and repeat. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Um, I also have on here reading alone is not enough. Ideas must be applied repeatedly. Skill grows through practice cycles, and that's something from the past I never did. Over here, I have passion and effort. Uh, the key idea is the greatest artists combine passion with relentless effort, right? Um, they put in a lot of work to get good, and that's what Andrew Loomis is telling you, that desire to express yourself must be strong. Talent alone is not enough to ultimately to is not enough. Unlimited effort overcomes frustration, right? So eventually, this book is going to get hard, right? And unlimited effort, repeating, is what's going to get us over that hump. Um, Passion plus effort equals improvement. All right, so, and as you can see, you can like stick these things together. You can move them. Um, this is a really cool software. The role of the individual, like Loomis spent a lot talking about your role as the individual, right, in expressing yourself. He said that uh, you as an individual, like your personality, what you're interest in is unique to you in the world. But that will be a part of your value once you get the skill. But in order to get there, you need the skills. So the key idea is your drawings are a reflection of who you are. Uh, personal uh, uh, Personality appears in your work. Experience shapes over experience shapes your work. Observation fuels your creativity. Fundamentals allow you to express uniqueness. And then I put fundamentals enable individualities. And he will talk about fundamentals a lot in this book. So let's move on quickly. Uh, what makes a good drawing? Now, this was super, super important to me. Uh, uh, good drawings. Good drawing is the coordination of six fundamentals, and those six fundamentals are. Let me connect that. I don't think I did all right. Are proportion number one. With proportion, you get likeness, perspective, how figures or objects exist in space, light and shadow, gesture slash action. What is the character doing? What is this object feeling? Or emotion and expression, right? Then down here is the last note. I put proportions, perspective, anatomy, light, gesture equals good drawings. Right. I plan to come back to this later. Uh, Once I start actually drawing and use this as my checklist to try to figure out why my drawings aren't working when they don't work. All right. Real skill, real value. He goes on to talk about, and remember, this guy's talking the 1950s or something like that, 1950s, 1940s. I don't know. Um, he's talking about technical skills creates opportunity. And that's still true to this day, even with AI. If you have technical skills like, Craig Mullen, Jeff Watts, Eric Giss, Peter Hahn, all these people, they will always be able to pay their bills with art, no matter how advanced AI gets, because they have technical skills and that equals opportunities, right? Um, Strong drawing skills, drawing abilities earn income. Mediocrity is what limits your opportunity. He talks about the mediocre uh, author struggles, and I took that and applied it to 2026, and I'm thinking it's the mediocre artists that will struggle with AI, right? Professions, Professionals succeed through skill. So your level of skill will decide how far you go. Good drawings always, good drawings is always valuable. That's another thing he talked about a lot. Avoid imitation. Now, this was like the hugest thing ever. This is like one of the biggest upgrades I got out of this book. Is, he pretty much tells you in this first, 26 pages repeatedly in a very nice 1950 way is don't copy me. He says it multiple times. Do not copy him. He's saying that, he doesn't talk about himself in third person. This is my note, but he says, study Loomis. The key idea is study Loomis, learn the fundamentals, don't just copy the drawings. Use copying as a temporary learning tool. Do not copy for its own sake. Popular trends change, fundamentals remain consistent. He even goes on to talk about that, what was popular in the time that he was writing this book, 1940s, 1950s, whatever. And he's saying that he was talking about how things were changing. And he was talking about advertisements and posters and that stuff has changed a lot. I think most of that stuff is gone now. Now people are thinking about animation, comic books, things like that, 3D animation and things like that. These guys aren't really thinking about, you know, being a poster artist anymore, working for a magazine anymore. Learn the fundamentals, develop your own voice, understanding structure before all else. He talks about this book is about drawing. It's about drawing in the third dimension. He means form. That's how we talk nowadays. We use the word form. And he says the nude figure must be understood before clothing or costume. He tells you up front that you first need to understand the structure underneath the figure before you start putting on armor, costumes, drapery, all these things that we all like and love. We need to understand the form underneath. That being able to draw drapery is not going to hide a bad drawing, right? Drapery sits on top of the body. The figure has bulk, weight, and form. The body exists in space and perspective. Light creates form and shadow. Body structure, light, drapery. Then he goes on to talk about what's the goal of the book. The book gives you the fundamentals, but mastery depends on your own effort. He tells you up front that this book will get you good if, but that depends on how much effort you put into it and how many times you repeat, repeat, repeat. Loomis guides you to the top of the hill. After After that, you continue on your own. Real skill comes from practice. It's kind of like college, man. In college, like they teach you how to teach yourself. And Loomis will teach you how to teach yourself. And where you run with these, where you take these skills, will depend on how far we go. So Loomis teaches principles. You create results. And practice from many sources. All right, he tells you up front not to just use this book. Um, he says the key concept is use different references to practice the principle in this book. Now let's go back to the book. Right, we're gonna go a little bit ahead in the book. All right, let me make this bigger. This is a really cool software, guys. Hope you guys can see this. But as you can see, right, all these are really cool reference. These are figures in 1 point perspective, right? I think that's 2 point perspective. But look at this. This is like 1950s, 1960s classic cars, the kind of cars you see in Cuba is what these people were probably driving back then, right? So he's saying, take my drawings, right? You see how he has all these figures in perspective. He's showing how to lay these figures out in perspective. This this lady right here is closer to the picture frame than her. This person is standing a little bit farther back. He's saying that it's okay to take this reference and go pull up screenshots of your favorite anime, such as Naruto, and study that, right? Use multiple type of references. You don't have to just use this to understand how figures stand in a scene. Like this person's closer to the picture frame, this person's closer to the horizon, right? You can go and you can take this and apply this to whatever you like, your favorite comic book, and study these concepts. But let's go down a little bit farther. Like these are really cool figures. See how this box is in perspective, right? So maybe this is boring, right? But let's say you like Marvel. You could take this. He's saying it's okay. He's giving you permission to say, take this figure and go, practice Spider-Man poses. I'm not into Marvel, but I'm just using that as an example. I would take this, and go study for Zeta, for instance. That's what I would do with it, right? But that's what he's saying. Let's get back to where we were. Uh, he's giving you permission in the first pages that, because I guess he had the foresight to know that this was going to be the book that would be around for a long time, right? Um, and he knew that like what he was drawing then may not apply, would likely not apply to, forever, especially to 2026. So practice inventing figures. Create new figures instead of repeating the ones in the book. Again, he gets on top of you about, just copying the figures in the book. He says that if you just copy these figures in the book, you're not going to go as far as you could. He wants you to invent figures from your imagination, find your own references, He does emphasize drawing for life, but he does give you permission to, you know, use whatever resources you have, which are photos or whatever you may have. You can make no more fatal error than an attempt to duplicate for the sake of duplication alone, either my work or any other individual. Use the style as a crutch only until you can walk alone. Trends of popularity are as changeable as the weather. Anatomy, perspective, value remain consistent. Uh, but you must diligently search for new ways to apply them. Diligently search for new ways to apply them. All right, so change poses, create action, invent figures, apply fundamentals to new drawings, apply the lessons by inventing figures. Is how I summarize that. Study study the meaning behind Andrew Loomis's drawing. Goes back to this page 17. Understanding construction behind Loomis's drawing instead of copying them. Treat as Loomis's drawing as models. That was something that was I never thought of it like that way. When he said, "Treat my drawings as models," right? He always emphasizes drawing for life. Jeremy says the same thing to me all the time. Um, but if you can't draw for life, treat his drawings as models. Don't copy lines exactly. Focus on the ideas behind the lines. Study the structure, not the lines. That is the best way to summarize that. A lot that is said on page 17. Fundamentals cannot be skipped. This was me all day, man. This is why I'm in the position that I'm in now. That I've plateaued at a certain level and I can't go any farther until I do these things that I did not want to do. I've had this book on my shelf, the physical copy of the book on my shelf since 2018, and today was the first day I've opened it. Because I wanted to skip the fundamentals. I thought there was an easier way. I thought there were shortcuts. Every artistic problem ultimately depends on fundamentals. Drawings, convincing clothing, drawing facial expressions, painting believable colors, composing figures, drawing perspective correctly. No way around the fundamentals. Growth requires a body of work. Jeremy said that to me a few years ago. He was like, "Where's your body of work?" That's part of why I'm making this YouTube channel, to make a body of work. All right. Growth comes through consistently producing work with the fundamentals. Bad drawings bad drawings are the best learning tools. I put must are the best learning tools. Artistic growth requires producing good and bad drawings. Skills come from applying the fundamentals poorly until you can learn to apply them well. I never used to think like that. I used to look at bad drawings like, oh man, I'm suck. This is bad. The process of applying the fundamentals produce a body of work. Body of work is the receipts for the practice you paid to improve. Now, I'm going to take credit for that because I came up that was my interpretation of what he was saying in the book, and I really like that saying. Apply fundamentals equals a volume of work. All right. To apply the fundamentals, you must discover your own way. Apply the principles. Loomis techniques, study Loomis's techniques, experiment with practice, develop your own method of practice. Study, experiment, personal method. All right, so I think that's all the notes on this page. And that was like, from 1 to 17. So let's go over to the next set of notes. This goes from page 21 to 26. So from here to here. As you can see early on, there's some things I really didn't think that applied. Right now, there was more, prep talk about, making a living and things like that. I really didn't think I needed to, note take or underline at this point. So this page only has, one or two notes. But here's what I decided to pay special attention to on this page. The figure drawing presents the broadest opportunities from a standpoint of earning of any artistic endeavor, coupled with the fact is that greatest advantage that all these use are the interrelated with success and almost assure success in another. All right, so he's talking in a different type of English, but what he's saying is that, figure drawing is the most valuable skill of an artist, right? And he's saying that if you could draw the figure, you could draw almost anything, right? That's what he's saying there, and I took that to heart. All right, remember, artists have no guarded professional secrets. All right, so all this information is out there waiting for us to be applied. Like, this book is completely free if you want the PDF version and perfectly legal. And this is the best book. Like, if you went to Art Center and they would you would pay $100K to be told to study Loomis. So there are no secrets. There are no barriers. The only mystery, if such may be called, is the personal interpretation of the individual artist, right? So the only secret is how individuals take the concepts and apply them, right? Fundamentals must be mastered, but you can never do so by watching another man paint. You have to you have to reason them out yourself. So what he's saying is that this stuff, you can't just read this book and not draw. You have to apply these concepts repeatedly until you get them, right? You can watch Craig Mullins digital painting on YouTube all day. But if you want to get to that level, you got to digital paint. That's what he's saying. I'm gonna read some more of my rough notes, and we'll go over to the canvas. Uh, expect to become a. Oh, no. That's not where we start. All right. The artist who cannot put the figure together properly does not have a chance in 1,000 to succeed, either as a figure draftsman or a painter. It would be as reasonable to expect to become a surgeon without studying anatomy. So he's saying that, you will never be the full potential artist that you can be or succeed in this business until you really learn, the figure. So, there's no way around it. The figures of this is where he starts talking about, structure and anatomy a little bit. Figures of the two sexes differs radically in construction and appearance. A woman in slacks is not a man in pants, even if she has a short haircut. I thought that was important. I just wrote that down. There are two kinds of drawing: linear, solid, and linear drawings. Linear drawings, for example, floor plans, embrace design or scale. Solid drawings attempt to render bulk or three-dimensional qualities on a flat plane of paper or canvas. The first involves No consideration of light and shadow. The latter gives every consideration. It is possible, however, without light and shadow, to make a flat or outline drawing of a figure and still suggest bulk. Therefore, it is logical to begin the figure in two dimensions and start out with proportion. Carry it from the flat to the round, and then proceed to render the bulk in space and in terms of light and shadow. Right. So he's pretty much talking about what he's going to do on these pages. Like he's going to lay out proportions, right, in 2D, right? Proportions in 2D. Then, to show you how to do it. Like again, he's doing these in 1 point perspective in 2D, right? 1 point perspective in 2D, right? Right. 2D, how to do it in 2D, 1D, 2D. Yep. All right. Then eventually he's going to go into a more, like, after you do the 3 stages of mannequins, they're going to start getting form. He's going to start bringing it, like in this page, bringing it into 3 dimension. This is going to be 3-dimensional form. So this mannequin is now 3-dimensional form. So if we study the pages before this, by the time we're able to draw this, we will be able to draw it in perspective just like he showed it. Yeah, this is better. Yep, 2-point perspective, or 2-point perspective in 3D. He showed these same drawings in 2D before. Now he's showing it in 3D. So that's what he's saying there. Yeah, so let's just move over. Enough about my notes. Let's move back over to, this. All right, so the value of the figure drawing. Figure drawing is the most important fundamental in all art. This is a key concept, both professionally and technically. We just went over that. Figure drawing provides the broadest opportunities for artistic success. Skills used in drawing the figure apply to illustration, painting, sculpting, design. All visual problems uh, are interrelated. Proportion, light, form, perspective. Mastering human figure prepares the artist to draw almost anything. And I think I was supposed to connect this there. There are 2 major approaches to drawing form. Key concept: attempt to show volume and mass suggests 3 dimensions. Figure drawing begins with flat proportions, then progress to solid. No, I put that. It's supposed to be pink. All right. So he goes on to talk about the human figure is measured using the head of units. He talks about 8 heads tall. I break all that down. Most beginners drawings share similar structures. Most beginners drawings share similar structural mistakes: fuzzy line, incorrect proportions, weak structure, inconsistent perspective. Studying skeletal structure will help you understand proportion uh, and body construction. Bones provide landmarks for measuring the body: cranium, clavicle, rib cage, pelvis, iliac crest, knee, ankle. Uh, Proportions must be practiced repeatedly. Again, even when he starts talking about proportion, he talks about repetition. He keeps harping on that. Line and contour are not the same thing. He breaks down what line is. There's a page on lines, and he says line, abstract mark like a piece of wire. Contour, edges of form, can be sharp, round, or disappearing. Then he goes on to talk about in the pages that, these are edges. Like he talks about sharp edges of a box meeting its corner, meeting its edge, round, like The beginning fadings of a cylinder or a ball disappearing, that will be on a lost edge. All kinds. So later when he goes into light and shadow, he's going to talk about that too. All right, let's go over some of more of these quickly. This video is getting kind of long. You cannot properly draw clothing figure until you understand the body. Underneath, he goes over that again. Uh, the broad principles of drawing. All drawing problems share the same fundamental visual principles. Every drawing involves proportion, three-dimensional form, texture, color, light, and shadow. He talks about there are no secrets in art. You know, well, guys, that concludes the video. I just wanted to, upload this first video of my journey. Right now, I hope you guys will join me. We can get good together. Um, I can't wait to start drawing in this book. The next pages right now we're on page 26. I left off at page 26. So the next time I upload will probably be drawings, proportion. Um, as you can see, he breaks down the ideal proportion of the male, right? So we'll study that first through repetition, right? Then he goes in the ideal proportions of the female. So I'm excited about that too. Then he does various standards of proportion. So you got like the Greek god of 9 heads, fashion 8 heads, uh, idealistic 8 heads, normal 7.5 heads. Then he goes ideal proportions of various ages. This will be fun. This is great for character design. Um, then he goes into perspective. So I look forward to drawing. Thank you guys for sharing. If you guys, please leave a comment below if you want me to give a tutorial on how to study art books in LiquidText. That's the name of the software I'm using. Uh, I'm learning a lot. It was pretty easy to get started. This thing is really cool. As you can see, you could just, draw as much as you want. You really don't have line sensitivity that much, but, you know, you could still get down a bunch of concepts like this. Really easy. The fact that you could just draw on this, like, you don't even have to pull up Procreate on the side. You can just draw, you know, here, right in the margins. This is a really cool software. I bet Loomis didn't think about this when he said you should have a piece of paper next to the book as you study this book. I bet she didn't think about, LiquidText and an iPad, you know? But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. Have a great night and good luck on your Loomis journey.